This is happiness, to be everything at once. Be unblinded, be unlearned, be unbridled and unburned.
Hey everyone, welcome back to a brand new episode of Mood Prep. My name is Dave Nixon, and we're answering another question today from the IG, which I posted saying, what questions do you all have? So if you don't follow me on Instagram yet, jump on, and if you want to, that is, of course, I am at DDNix. That's it, DDNIX. And I actually quite enjoy the idea of getting input from you guys into what sort of stuff you want to hear. And also, you can jump on Mood Prep Online, which you'll find under the Human Movement at the moment. It's under davenixon.com/memberships. By the time this gets out, there should be actually a coupon you can use for a free month anyway. So either way, I'll keep up to date with that. But in that group, you get to continue the conversation. I do a monthly Q&A in there as well as a book club, which is starting as of next month. So there's heaps happening in that group. That's a continuation on from this podcast, and you also get input into the podcast itself. All right, team. So going into this, the question was, what is my morning routine? And I want to give you guys a bit of an idea of what it was before, what it is now, and then why I'm kind of flexible with what happens with it in the future, and what I recommend you take into account for your own morning routine. So the thing about my morning routine is that it has changed a lot over the years. Now, I think that's really important to take into account for each and every one of you as well, is that depending on your situation and your life conditions, so I talk about life conditions a fair bit because we often neglect that when looking at statistics, but the life conditions that you have around you will heavily dictate what your morning and evening routine is like. And so what's really important is to go, what can I do that I would do for my morning routine that could at least give me a morning routine that I've consciously chosen? And so when I first started the business 7 years ago, it was just me. So I worked 5 mornings a week. So I'd get up, I'd probably check Facebook and all that kind of stuff nice and early. This is 4:30. I kind of had this thing where I wanted to do something before the whole world was awake. I was really driven for success and all that sort of stuff back then. It's not that I'm not now. It's just I see it very differently now. And what I found was that I would sacrifice a lot of sleep to try and train, to try and hustle, so to speak, and get all that other sort of stuff done. And I learned that over time, I learned that really wasn't the right thing to do. Then after a couple of years, I had more team members join the team, and so I didn't have to work every morning. I didn't have to be at the gym at 5:30 every single morning. And it's only been in the last 12 months to 18 months that I've really started to look after my sleep a lot better, which means that I'm like, I think the best way that I've seen sleep explained, I think there's a guy called Matthew W, that had a podcast with Joe Rogan on it. Apparently it's a really good book and a really good podcast on it. But either way, in the book Own the Day by Aubrey Marcus, he goes, you actually aim for a certain amount of blocks of sleep every single week, which one block is 90 minutes. So it equates to about 35 blocks of sleep every single week, which means if you get less sleep one day, you can kind of make up for it the next day or the day after, but as long as you get 35 for the whole week. Now, this was a rule that I'm like, actually, I can work with that. I quite like it, and it does work for me. There's mornings now that I don't get up until 8 o'clock or closer to 8. This morning, for example, I was up at maybe about a quarter to 8. I kind of woke up a bit earlier. My girlfriend got up and she had to do some work, but I went back to sleep. And if I'm going to have a nap in the morning after having late nights and early mornings, where I'm getting like 5 hours sleep during the evening, I'll make sure that I sleep for 90 minutes if I can. If I can't, I'll try and get a nap of about no longer than half an hour. As in, like, I'll put on, I often put in some headphones and I play some binaural beats. You can just literally find them on YouTube. The whole idea is that behind binaural beats is that it literally will sort of have 2 different tones and sounds in each ear, and it's effectively meant to help a lot with sleep. There's heaps of research on it. I can't regurgitate the research right now, but I'll always listen to that if I'm having a nap. And then as long as it's not too hot here in summer, I'll have a beanie and I'll put the beanie over my eyes so that it kind of darkens the whole atmosphere as well. And so that's what I'll do for my naps. And I'll just set I have a 2-hour binaural beats that I've downloaded, and if I want 30 minutes, I just set it for 30 minutes, and then when it finishes, the next thing plays, and so I wake up. And if I want 90 minutes, then I set it for 95 minutes, really, so it gives me a couple of minutes there to sort of chill out. Anyway, so that's what I do as far as waking and sleeping and all that. So some mornings I'm up at 4:30, and I'm going to explain my morning routine for that, and I'll explain my morning routine if I'm up a little bit later. But before, what I used to do would just kind of like check social media. I would rush breakfast. I would have meetings in the morning, and so I never had a consistent structure to my mornings, and that was pretty consistent with my life as well. That I didn't have hardly any structure, and because I was very enthusiastic, energetic, extroverted, that seemed like it was fine, but it really wore me down over time. And so what I did, I think it was, if it wasn't the start of this year, it was definitely towards the end of last year, is that I now push all my meetings to after midday, unless I absolutely have to do it before midday. Otherwise, I push all my meetings to after midday. And so what that gives me is the morning to get a lot of my own work done, as in my creative work, my study, my reading, my writing. If I want to get my podcasting, I kind of get it done in there as well. And then my other work, which is more emails or my coaching sessions that I do with people, all that sort of stuff happens in the afternoon. So what in saying that, if I need to put one in those sessions in the morning, I will, but it's less common than the opposite. So let's say for a morning routine for me at 4:30, if I have to get up, I'll get up about 4:30, and I will put the pan on. So I've already put all my clothes out from the night before into the living room. A, so I don't wake my partner up, but also B, so I don't have to make decisions in the morning of what I have to wear. So the whole thing for me is reducing as many decisions in the morning as I can do, so I'm not getting decision fatigue by the time it's 10 a.m. So I've already got my clothes lined out. I have the same breakfast just about every single morning. This morning was a bit different. I just felt like something different. But otherwise, it's 4 eggs, all the eggs, and 3 bits of bacon, depending on the size. And if my girlfriend wants me to say I have veggies, but I don't have veggies with breakfast. That's just where I'm at. I don't. That's me. So I have that, and I cook it up. And I do that as I sort of get changed in between. I'll put a YouTube video on that I listen to. I have YouTube Premium, which means I can download stuff while I'm on Wi-Fi and play it whenever I want. It's downloaded to the phone, so I'll just find a YouTube video that I want to listen to, and I'll just play that. So the first thing that I'm consuming mentally is something positive or interesting or learning or whatever. It's not news. It's not Facebook. I don't go onto Facebook or Instagram until 9 a.m. And same with my emails. I don't go onto that until at least 9 a.m. So I get all my other stuff done first. So by the time I've finished breakfast and cleaning up, it's probably about 10 past 5, and I'll head towards work. So I'll head to the gym. I get there about somewhere between 20 to 25 past, and then I'll work. And so if I didn't get much sleep after work, I'll go home and I'll have a 90-minute nap, and I'm ready to go again by about 8 a.m. If I start a little bit after that, let's clarify what happens after that, I suppose. So after 8 a.m., I'll get changed and I'll head to the cafe. So I go to a cafe here in the same suburb as my gym, and I'll sit there for anywhere between 1 hour, sometimes less if I'm really busy, but otherwise 2 hours. And I'll literally read. I'll listen to when I read in a cafe, I actually listen to music, but it's instrumental music, so I can't hear any voices or conversations around me. Otherwise, I'll just pick up on it, and I won't be able to read so well. And so there's YouTube videos rather that I just play, which are by a guy called Evan Carmichael. I think he does a lot of them, and basically they're just called productive music, and it's literally normal pop songs or whatever that just doesn't have any lyrics, so it's just playing and I'm not picking up on any words at all, and I'm able to just read. And so I do that, and I'll take notes, and that's where a lot of the time I come up with ideas for my podcasts or things that I need to do at the gym. So I've got 2 notebooks that I have. One is for structured stuff, such as this podcast. So I'll write down MP 135, so Mood Prep 135, my morning routine. Then I write down dot points, and then that's when I pull this apart. That's also where I put all my coaching notes and all that sort of stuff. And then I have another book this book is what I take with me when I read, and that's all my notes and thinking as I'm going throughout the day. So it's more like a little bit chaotic than my orderly notes for my coaching and my podcast and all that sort of stuff. So that's what I do with my morning on a morning where I work at 5:30. On a morning where I don't, I make sure I try and catch up on a bit of sleep. So I'll be up anywhere between 6:30 to 8 a.m. depending on if I need to catch up on sleep or not. And then after that, I'll get up, I'll make breakfast, and if I'm checking my phone, I'll be checking things such as download statistics for my podcast, or I'll check the cricket, because that's like the only thing that I watch. Yep. That's me. So I'll check the cricket. I'll check any messages if I have any messages. Otherwise, I make breakfast, I get changed. And some people that work for themselves, Like, I don't wear track pants whenever I get changed and get ready to go to work. I wear jeans and shoes, thankfully. Could be anything from Converse shoes to dress, no, not quite dress shoes, but sort of in between shoes and a shirt and a jacket. And I make sure that at least I'm not trying to be too slack and too lazy with my clothing. When I changed that, when I stopped working at home and when I changed my clothing, like, that made one of the biggest differences in my productivity with my work. So that's a big thing. And then after that, once again, I'll go to the cafe. So the cafe has been the biggest routine thing that I've added in, and it's like, that's not a cafe to me, right? I'm paying $4 for a coffee, but what that $4 represents for me is a university. It's a place where I've studied hours upon hours upon hours. They know me. There's such good people there at Le Sable here in Mitchell in Canberra. Absolutely adore the girls there. They're fantastic. And the thing for me, though, is that I'm not going to a cafe. I'm going to study. I'm going to a university. And building that study culture for me has been one of the most beneficial things that I've done to owning my time and owning my learning and allowing myself to develop as well. So I really encourage people to be able to build some sort of study culture where they go, I don't want to pay for a coffee. It's like, no, you're not paying for a coffee. You're paying for your study. And then there's a coffee there. That's kind of how I see it. So, yeah, and then once again, I'll try not to have any meetings before 12. I'll get to the gym somewhere between 11 to midday, usually. And then that's when I'll start all my other tasks and work. So that's my morning routine. A couple of things in there that I really recommend you look at is making sure you don't consume social media first thing in the morning. Make sure that you're able to have a good, wholesome breakfast as well. If you can get veggies in there, get veggies in there. Don't be lazy like me. Otherwise, the other thing is give yourself space. Like, create a culture of your own learning and own education. And don't do it in the afternoon when you're tired, because you're more inclined not to do it then as well. So anyway, team, that's it. I'm out. Thank you very much for tuning in. And if you found this beneficial, it would mean the world to me if you pass it on to someone else that would also find it beneficial. Otherwise, if you haven't already checked out the Mood Prep online group, it's under the Human Movement on davenixon.com.au/memberships. And if you're a PT or an athlete, I think you should check out the Coaches Circle. It's working one-on-one with me and also in the group, the Coaches Circle. Otherwise, team, that's it. Thank you very much for tuning in. Until tomorrow, peace and pizza. Kick today in the dick. Slay the dragon. I'll see you soon.
to be everything at once. Be unblinded, be unlearned, be unbridled and unburned.